Hello everyone, this is Anthony Simic, teacher on administrative assignment for the Springfield School District. Today I'm going to show you a quick overview of how to organize your Google Drive when you log in. So I've already logged in to Google Drive. I can see my Google account name here. There are three main areas to look at when you're organizing your Google Drive. There's a top toolbar. There's a menu bar down the left-hand side. And then there's the main screen here in the middle. So we'll look at each of those individually. First is the top toolbar. This button here, that is simply the Drive logo, if you click that, you might think of that like the home button on your iPhone or whatever type of cell phone you have. When you click that, it just brings you back to the main screen for your Google Drive. So no matter what folder you're in, or if you've navigated somewhere where maybe you're confused about where you are and you just want to get back to the main screen, this is the button you would click. Next is a drop-down menu that shows you which folder you are in. So for example, if I go into my Cultural Connections folder, you can see up here in the top, this is just sort of the directory of what location I'm in my drive. So here's my drive as the main screen, and then I'm in my Cultural Connections Committee folder. And notice that this drop-down arrow now has moved to the location that I'm in. If I click that, I have some options. I can create a new folder inside of this folder. I can share the entire folder with groups of people, move the folder to another location. I can add a star to this folder if it's a preferred folder that I like to go to all the time. I can assign a color to the folder if I'm a color coordinated type of person, rename the folder, download it out of my Google Drive onto my computer, or I can trash it, remove it from Google Drive. Remember, all I have to do is click this button here to take me back to the main screen of my Google Drive. All the way to the right here are a few other cool options. So this button here switches the main view between a grid and a list. Right now I'm looking at my files in a list, just a vertical list of all the files sorted alphabetically. If I click this button, it switches them to the grid. Click it again, it switches them back to view. I prefer to use the list view, because this is how files are organized on my computer when I'm navigating, my H drive or the shared drive or the Y drive. So this is sort of the same for me visually, and I just prefer it. I also have an option to sort my files either by name alphabetically, by the date they were modified, by the date they were modified just by me, by the date they were opened just by me, not by somebody else that maybe I have them shared with. So again, I choose name and I keep them sorted alphabetically here. This information button is an option that we have to have this sidebar here. So all it does when I click that is it hides the details or it opens the details again. I prefer to have it open because when I log into my drive, I can see what not only I've done to most recent files. So the last thing I did was at 9:22 today, I was updating the presentation that we're using today for our professional development, for our in-service, but I can also see that Rachel shared an item with me at 9:20, and if I scroll down, a lot of these are things that just I've done in my drive, but here again I can see that Meg Myers updated a file on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So Susanna Horner updated a file, shared an item with me, okay, with two other people. So I can see sort of what's going on with not only the files that I manage in my drive, but the files that other people are shared with. So I like to have that open just to kind of keep myself in the loop about what's happening in the drive. So that's our top toolbar. Down the left-hand side is our menu bar. The menu bar has this new button here at the top. What this allows us to do is create new items in our drive, a new folder, new Google Doc, sheet, or slides. And if we move our mouse over the More button, you can also see Google Forms, Drawings, Maps, Fusion Tables, and even more apps are in here. The focus of today's in-service is on Google Forms and Google Sheets. I can also click the My Drive button to kind of get an overview of my entire drive. These little arrows next to the folders mean that there are additional folders inside of that one folder. So my civil rights reporting folder does not have any other folders inside of it. If I click that, there's just a few documents that we were using for the civil rights report. But if I go into my behavior support team folder, you can see I have 3 additional folders inside and also more files that we are using for behavior support team in district. So if I click this down arrow, I can see my BST referrals folder is inside of there, surveys is inside of there. Clicking Shared with Me shows you all of the files that have been shared with you. So I can grab this bar and I can see every file that's ever been shared with me in my Google Drive, who it came from, the date it was shared with me, and then what folder it is in if I moved it into my drive. So once a file is shared with you, you can move it into your Google Drive simply by right-clicking it and then moving it to where you want it. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So this letter here, I can see I never moved into my Google Drive because there's nothing listed over here. All I have to do is right-click on it, click Add to my drive, and then it's asking me where I want to put it. So because this is a leadership group letter, I'm going to go to my leadership group folder, and I'm just going to click Move. It's asking me if it's okay to share this file with other people who have access to that folder. I'm going to say okay to that, and now it's been moved to that folder. Okay. Google Photos is here. It's not something that they have fully implemented yet, so we just get this generic message. There's a Recent button, so I can see which files I've accessed recently. This Starred button, if you remember at the beginning of this video, I showed you that if you wanted to star a folder or a file, if there are certain files or folders that are super important to you and you want to be able to access them quickly, you can assign them stars, and then they would show up in this section. I'll show you what that looks like real quick. So if I wanted to star my early intervention folder, a star was added. Now when I go into Starred, my early intervention folder is there. I can remove the star as well to take it out. And then I have a trash folder which just has files I've deleted out of my drive over time. Something important to note is that once a file goes into your trash can, if you delete that folder, if you delete that file, it is gone forever. So I right-clicked on the file, and if I delete it, I'm going to get a warning that says you cannot undo this. Once that file is deleted out of your trash can, it's gone forever. I'm going to do that, and now it's gone. So that's basically how to organize your drive. You can move files in between folders. You can move them from your Shared With Me folder if you want to organize them into certain folders. You can see I like to keep a lot of folders. I like to try and stay organized here. You can also move files just by grabbing them. So I'm going to click and hold it, and you can see now I can move the file to another folder if I wanted to drop the Fluency data into my Read 180 folder and let go. Again, because the Read 180 folder is shared with other people, I'm getting a warning. Are you sure you want to share this file with them? I'm going to say okay. And you can see it drops right in there. Now when I go into Read 180, my Fluency data is there. So that's just basically how to organize and move items around your drive. Remember, you can always switch between the grid view and the list view if you prefer to. This is the main area of confusion for a lot of people because some prefer list versus grid, and so when you're logging in, you're looking at two different. I'm always looking at the list view, but somebody else may prefer the grid view. So when I'm looking at their drive with them, I'm seeing a different view, and it can be confusing at times. Don't forget you can switch between those views very easily just by pushing that button, and you can always get back home just by hitting that drive button. So I hope that was helpful, and enjoy the rest of the training today.